Well, hey, I'm Phil Heimlich. I'm a former Cincinnati City Council member. I'm a former prosecutor, former county commissioner, and we call this podcast Sanity Check. Some would question whether I am qualified to be hosting such a program, and would think that I'm the last person who should. But I got the mic, so that's just the way it is. So you people who think otherwise, you're just going to have to take it. But I have a great guy here that I am so excited to talk to. This is Dusty Rhodes. Now, if you live or have lived in the Cincinnati area, you know this guy. But if you're not in Cincinnati, he is a fascinating guy with a fascinating background. So, Dusty, thanks for being here.
Great to be with you, Phil.
Before we get into the politics, you had a very exciting career in radio.
Right.
When radio was top 40, it isn't like it was, there was no streaming.
Yeah.
That was it. So tell us about your background in radio.
Well, I started out when I was 14 riding my bicycle to a station in Syracuse. And finally,
Is that where you grew up, Syracuse?
yeah,
Okay.
And finally they hired me I was always there. So I
A
started,
radio station hired you.
yeah,
What was the first one that hired you?
WOLF,
And that's in Syria. And how old were you?
16.
Really? So what'd you do for them?
Well, I did control operator
Okay.
because we played the records for the DJ
Okay.
when we started out. And I started out there, got on the air a couple of years later on a couple of other stations in central New York, and worked my way through college.
As a radio like DJ kind of guy.
Yeah, radio
Okay.
school.
And
in
this is in the
Syracuse.
60s?
Yeah, well, 50s.
50s and 60s. All right. You're dating
I
yourself, man, but okay.
I started the station that Dick Clark started at.
Really? Do you know Dick Clark, who was American Bandstand for
Right.
you young people that don't know? He was very good friends with my grandparents, the
Really?
Murrays, and my mother. And in fact, I still am in touch with the guy who, there is a Dick Clark studios, and the guy who I'm in touch with, they have all the original tapes of my grandparents' TV shows. So
Right.
so I'm in touch with them now and then about
Well, I was
stuff.
in school
Yeah.
with Ted Koppel.
Oh my! Where at Syracuse?
Yeah,
I
he
didn't
was
know
a year
that.
ahead of me.
Ted Koppel. He's kind of
And
short, isn't he? If I
yeah,
recall.
right.
All right. Okay. Go ahead.
And Marv Albert replaced me, the sports
Oh
guy.
my gosh! I didn't even know
He
this.
replaced me on WOLF when I went to TV. I went to the TV station in 60. I operated the second camera for the CBS
And
feed
again, this is where in Syracuse.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All
for
right.
Richard Nixon for the whole CBS network.
I'm guessing he was one of your heroes. Well, at least for a while he was probably.
No.
Let's say he wasn't. All right,
I-
wasn't one of mine. Okay, I went to college during the anti-war movement, so he definitely wasn't.
Where did you go?
I went to Stanford
Oh.
University, and I was there from 71 to 75, which was one of the heights of the anti-war movement. It was
yeah.
McGovern versus Nixon, all that. But let's get back to you. Okay, what's your next radio job you
Well,
had after that?
When I graduated, a friend of mine was all set up to go to Buffalo,
Yeah,
to a big station in Buffalo.
yeah,
He went to Cincinnati
yeah.
and called me in August of
Okay.
61, said, "How soon can you get here?" And I said, "Give me 3 weeks." And
Okay.
I packed everything I had in a 56 Caddy convertible that I had, $83.40 in my pocket, threw my clothes in the back seat, and
Wow.
drove to Cincinnati.
That's how you got here.
Yeah.
That's just, and you were with WSAI, right?
Right,
And
right.
for those who don't know, this is the days of AM radio. I don't think there was FM, and the big stations were all what they call top 40, right? They
Right.
play the same 40. By the way, did you ever see the great movie about Alan Freed? I don't know if you ever saw that. You had to watch
American
it.
Out West?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
sure.
that movie. But anyway, so you went to WSAI, and what you were a DJ? What stint? What were you? Morning, afternoon, evening? What were you?
Evening.
So you had a pretty good position there.
Right.
That was the big station in Cincinnati
There was only 5 stations in Cincinnati at the time.
at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, full time.
Yeah.
And funny story, I used to listen to WCKY in Syracuse when I was a kid,
Okay.
playing country music at night before rock and roll.
Really?
Country was the only
So
music.
you predated rock and roll. You're really dating
Well,
yourself now,
oh,
man.
yeah.
Were you an Elvis type or something? Or
No,
all right,
I was
okay.
playing polkas and
Oh,
Bing
wow.
Crosby and everything.
Wow. You really are going back here.
Well, we were a block
Right.
program, but
Yeah.
I listened to WCKY, and now I go to Mass at a church right across the river. I see those towers every Sunday
Wow.
morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed you're going to church. That alone I'm impressed with. All right. Now, when you were at SAI, did something that is historic in Cincinnati in the music business. Historic. Talk about it.
Well,
It involves a group. What were their names? They were from England. They had these kind of moppy haircuts. I
The
can't think of their
Beatles.
name. The Beatles, is that it? All right, so tell us about the
Well,
Beatles.
The bunch of the guys were out having soda pops one night, and they came back in the studio.
The guys from SAI?
You're right.
Okay.
And they said, we're going to send a telegram to London and try to get the Beatles on their first American tour. Are you in?
This is the one where they were on Ed Sullivan for
Yeah,
3 weeks?
right,
Okay. This
yeah.
was what, 64, something like
Yeah,
that?
uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, all right.
And
Yeah,
we
yeah.
sent the telegram, and 6 weeks later, it came back, and you got them. And we,
I got to ask you, how much did you have to, can you tell me how much did you have to pay
sure,
them?
$5,000. We put
Total $5,000?
each of us, 5
Oh,
guys.
each of you put five. These are all DJs?
Yeah, uh-huh.
$5,000 in those days, that was a lot of money.
Well, my mother and father-in-law co-signed the note for me.
All right, that's
So
all right. That's
we-
good. You married the right family. That's good. All right.
We made 9,800 back.
So you gave them. The Beatles wanted $25,000 basically.
Down and 25 when they.
Oh, okay. It wasn't a share of the gate. It was just,
No,
Oh,
no.
really? So you got the Beatles for a total of $50,000,
Yeah, right.
Which in those days was a lot of money, though. It's hard to believe.
You know
that,
the tickets were
what?
$5.50 top,
Oh my gosh! All
and
right.
we could have packed the Cincinnati Gardens 5 times
So
over.
it was sold out.
Oh, big time.
Okay. How isn't that amazing? How many people? For those who don't know, Cincinnati Gardens is an old-time arena.
14,000.
It was 14,000. That was
Yeah.
that big, and it was sold out for the
Right,
Beatles.
right.
At $5. Okay, so did you? I have to. Did you get to meet the Beatles?
Oh yeah.
Well,
Oh,
tell us about it. I mean,
No,
this
they're-
is legendary,
They,
man.
they were great guys, and they were having a time of their life.
Yeah.
And
This is the first tour. Their first tour.
yeah.
This is after they did the Shea Stadium and Ed Sullivan stuff. You know?
After they did Ed Sullivan, yeah.
Okay, because Shea Stadium was a famous where nobody could hear anything they said.
Well,
but,
they
yeah.
went there after
Okay.
Cincinnati.
Oh,
but,
after. All right, go ahead.
One of the newsmen, we had a press conference, and one of the newsmen said, "What are you going to do after the tour?"
Yeah.
And John Lennon said, "Count the money."
That's funny.
They were great guys,
Yeah.
and that was before they got into the drug scene
Yeah,
and
okay.
everything.
You
But
didn't have an influence on them about the getting into drugs, I hope.
No.
I heard you DJs were always kind of shooting up or
No.
hitting a joint, but you weren't like that. All right, go ahead.
I
I'm just checking.
I had a problem. I never got payola as a DJ.
You didn't?
And I never got any graft as a politician. So
Well, Dusty, you've had a sheltered life. Led a
Right.
sheltered life, man, both in music and politics. All right.
well,
So,
they made the station. We
Yeah.
had more listeners than any other station. All the
I
stations
bet the
combined.
promotion of that probably really helped the ratings on the
Oh
station.
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, our competition was WCPO
Yeah.
at 12:30, which
Okay.
could barely get out of town. They were
Yeah.
a very low power station,
Yeah.
and we blew them out of the format.
Did
they
you?
went to
All right.
rock
That's so
music.
cool. All right. Anything else about the Beatles? It was sold out. It was $5.50 a ticket. And how many songs did they do? Do you remember?
About 12.
Isn't that amazing?
30
And
minutes, you couldn't
today
hear
you go to
anything.
Bruce Springsteen. He plays
Yeah.
for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Did they have an opening act?
Yeah, Jackie DeShannon.
Oh, she
the
was
Bill
kind of.
Black combo.
Oh, okay. Jackie
who
DeShannon
else?
was kind of big.
Who else was there? Righteous Brothers.
Oh
before-
my gosh! Did you meet them? They were great.
Before they were big.
But this before they were big.
Yeah, yeah. They
But-
did
oh
Little
my-
Latin Loopy Lou,
Oh.
and they didn't do Unchained Melody
Because
till.
they hadn't written it yet or hadn't
Well,
had it
well.
sounded yet. Wow. So you really and you met them too.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm impressed. All right. So moving on. Okay, you were in radio, but then you got into the world of investments.
Well, I
what was
short
next?
circuit to Detroit for a year.
Okay.
Came back and got in the investment business.
Yeah.
And did radio part time.
Okay.
Sunday night oldies was my shtick,
Yeah.
and I did it on
Okay.
KRC and then LW,
Yeah.
WLW, WGR.
Okay. All right. And tell us because it's kind of cute how you met your wife.
Well, she was hired as a receptionist.
And by the way, from what I know of her and know of you, she has the biblical quality of long suffering.
Yes, for sure.
Yes, yes. Or to put it another way, to use a football expression, you outkicked your coverage.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
I met her at the radio station. We weren't supposed to fraternize, but we did.
Yeah.
We got busted on the first night. We had a date to see Breakfast at Tiffany's, and one
Oh,
of
that's
the
a nice. That is a nice romantic movie. That was
yeah,
a
right,
good move.
right,
I
right.
figured you being not a tacky guy. I figured you might have taken her out to Arby's or something, but you
No.
really showed her a good time. All right, go ahead.
We got married in less than a year later.
That's a great. You've been married how many years?
62.
All right. When you get home tonight, tell her my comment about the long suffering. I know Joanne will enjoy that. All right.
She's a good
So
lady.
okay, you get into the investment stuff. Okay.
And
Now,
I got into politics.
all right. Tell us how you got into politics, and for those who don't know, for years this man was a icon in the Cincinnati political scene. But go ahead, tell us how you got
Well,
into politics.
in Delhi Township, a couple of the trustees had served for a long time and they were retiring. And I met Jerry Lubers, who grew up in Delhi, played sports for Elder, and we teamed up and we
You ran as a team for trustee.
knocked on every door.
Did
we
you
started
really?
knocking
And then
on
this
doors
is in
May.
Delhi, right?
Right.
For those who don't know, well, you're a Delhesian, I know,
Yeah.
as they say, but how would you describe Delhi? It's kind of a Cincinnati suburb, but it's kind of a
30,000 people.
kind of
and
working class, a little
blue
more
collar, yeah,
blue collar,
uh-huh.
yeah. Okay.
German
You-
Catholic.
You lived there pretty much all your time here, right?
Right.
All right. So you got. Why'd you decide to run for township trustee?
Well, I wanted to start small because
Yeah.
if I screwed up, it wouldn't hurt a lot of people.
Okay.
So I wanted to cut my teeth in
Okay.
local government where you could interact with the people.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I love that.
Okay. So you were how many years as a trustee?
21.
21. Okay. Now, were you always I know as I've known you were always a Democrat. Were you a Democrat back
Oh,
then?
yeah.
Okay. And I'm at some point I'm going to ask you as we go further, you are probably the most conservative politician in this that I've ever known, and yet you're a Democrat, which I've always found very interesting. But tell us about your next step after
Well,
trustee.
I was a pro-life Democrat, Catholic,
That's a breed. That's an extinct breed.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
But my father told me Franklin D. Roosevelt saved my life. And I heard that at the supper table.
Oh, how did Frank? Oh, because of depression during the
Yeah,
depression, he got a
graduated
job.
from high school in
Okay,
the
all right,
Depression.
that's interesting.
Well, I was a Democrat, but I was a Harry Truman Democrat and John Kennedy Democrat. My mother took me to see the whistle stop going through Syracuse in '48.
Really?
And
Wow, that's Harry Truman.
yeah,
Right.
oh, he was
So
my
without
hero.
getting into it, I'm guessing you're not a huge fan of this new mayor in New York City. I'm just
No,
guessing,
yeah.
just off the top of my head. But okay, so you tell us about your
Well, I was-
big run for county office, which is
Well,
yeah.
I ran for Congress, got
Oh.
beaten by Tom Lucan in the primary.
okay, all right.
Ran for county commissioner twice.
Oh, okay, I didn't even know that. All right,
yeah,
okay.
I ran against Jake
And
Held.
let me just say, in those days, in Cincinnati here, which is in Hamilton County,
all Republican.
Hamilton County, you could not get elected unless you were a Republican. Every office was held by a Republican,
Right.
And so that explains why you lost the county commissioner races.
Well, I ran behind Jake Held by 30,000.
Okay.
McGovern at the top of the ticket lost the county by 145.
Mhm.
Then I ran against Norm Murdoch in 78.
Jeez.
Lost by 8,000 votes,
Oh, wow.
and Celeste blew the county by 65,000. So I was running ahead of the
You
ticket.
were running ahead of the say. Okay, so finally, what do you do? What was
Well-
your race that got you elected?
Well, the county auditor race, when Joe DeCourcy got nailed for fussing with the
Friends of Joe, it was kind of a scandal. He was the
Yeah,
Republican
right,
auditor,
right.
so you took advantage of that. Did you run against him or somebody else?
Mike Maloney. They
Okay.
took
But
him out.
because of the anger about the scandal,
Yeah.
people were open, even in Hamilton County, to voting for a Democrat.
I won by 4,000 votes, Phil.
Really? 4,000.
And the next time I won by 40. The next
Wow.
time by 105.
Yeah.
And then I ran up unopposed,
How many years were you in that office?
32.
And just so people understand this, in those days, to even get elected one time as a Democrat is huge. But you had such a great reputation that the Republican Party, which I was a part of, eventually they wouldn't put a candidate up against you,
Yeah,
even
right.
though you're a Democrat, which says a lot. What do you think was the key to your success and your notoriety as a
Well,
county auditor?
name ID got me elected.
Yeah, but it was more. But I mean, your staying power. That what
Well,
was
I
it?
cleaned it up. I
Yeah.
cleaned up the office. I told the people it was a Republican patronage office, 200 plus employees.
Yeah.
I told them at the start, I don't care who you vote for. I don't care who you give money to. We're not taking it out of your pay anymore.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can write check.
Okay.
And all I care about is how you do your job. And they couldn't believe it.
Which in those days, where I was a county prosecutor, in those days, that was totally unbelievable because you were expected to contribute to your boss's campaign.
2%.
Yeah.
But the other thing I did was I started cutting the office down, not by firing people or throwing them out on the street because I couldn't do that to people, but attrition. We got it down to 78 people.
Wow, that's impressive. And one of the things that I always admired about you is that you kind of really were into innovation. Like your website, the website you
One
had,
first in the country.
your website was one of the best user friendly. And in those days, you didn't have like today, oh, you could look up a house and know what the value. I mean, you were very innovative. Do you think that was one of the factors?
That and the fact that I was tight-fisted with money. I'll tell you a story. One time they came to me
For a Gentile.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay. All right.
They came to me with a letter.
They being who?
The staff.
Yeah.
It was going out to all the dog licenses.
Okay.
40,000 of them.
Yeah.
They said, we didn't get your signature, so we're going to print it again.
I'm sorry, we didn't get whose signature?
Mine on the letter. They put my name on the letter.
It was going to every dog owner for what purpose? To renew their license?
Right.
All right, okay.
And I said, no, you're not. Send it out the way it is.
Without your name on it.
Well,
without making a big deal about it being from you.
Yeah,
and that is so unusual in this day and age because
I couldn't spend the money. And I refused to be held up for anybody trying to get money off us.
Wow.
And I was tight-fisted.
Yeah.
But
and you were known that way as a fiscal conservative,
right?
A balance the budget kind of guy.
We gave back $50 million out of the 32 years to schools and local governments of unspent money in the real estate fund that, Phil, I could have spent any way I wanted and nobody would have said a word.
You're right.
But we gave it back because we didn't need it, and we gave back money to the schools and local governments and the taxing entities.
Well, that brings up a question that you were a very kind of strong local government advocate.
Right.
I mean, I happen to believe that the more you decentralize, in other words, I'm totally against the having a federal board, a federal education department.
Right.
Because to me, those are local schools. And I believe the more you put it down on the local level, the better off you are. And I'm not talking about having armies and I'm the FBI and all that, but basically, I've always believed that people who are like on a local school board, even though there's a lot of school boards are kind of off the deep end, but I trust them more than some bureaucrat in Washington.
The government closest to people is the most efficient, about 25,000. And we took local zoning away from the county in 75 in the township. And people said to me, I know you're not a crook. And I said, you don't. But if I am, you'll find it out a lot quicker in Delhi than if some county commissioner is on the take for zoning changes.
Yeah.
And the rumors were once upon the time they were.
Yeah, yeah.
So we brought that back to the local community.
What do you think is the biggest need or concern for local governments today, whether here or other parts of the country?
Income source.
Income source.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what is the income source for most, if you can generalize, for most local governments, and what
Property
should
taxes.
it be? Property taxes?
Yeah, right.
Well, do you agree with that, or should it be some other source? Because
I-
people like me, pay thousands of dollars just because I own a house. A
Right.
lot of people are really ticked off about that. Do you still agree that should be the source, or should it be something else?
Well, I think it should be something else, and I think the state is the most efficient tax collector.
Yeah,
I think the state should do more.
you do.
And Kasich cut the heart out of the local government fund, cut it in half.
Well, the local government fund, for those who don't know, was just basically state money that was given to local governments, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And he cut back on the
But
promise.
would you say that using your decentralized premise, that if a local government needs money, shouldn't they tax their own people rather than the state giving it to them?
To some extent,
Yeah.
but the state should do the basics, and they were promising that for years, and Kasich cut the heart out of it, among other things. What a jerk.
Well, that'll just be one little difference of opinion between us, okay? But that's okay. Actually, I didn't follow that much that he did as governor. I like what he did on the
You and
national
I
level.
did something, or tried to do
We
something
did.
in
It was
2003.
revolutionary.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, the
Maybe I should begin, if you don't mind, by in Hamilton County, all of these major nonprofit groups, and they're good groups, the hospital or the whatever it is, children's welfare or elder aging, they all put pressure on the county commissioners, which I was one, to put a quote levy on,
Right.
which basically means the taxpayers are paying for this particular, usually worthy cause. But the way it works is there's so many of these now, and it adds so much to our taxes. And the way they do it is they never put them all on at once, because if they did, people could see how much money so they put one or two on a year.
Right.
So talk about what we tried to do,
We tried to put them all on together.
which is a fair way, though those organizations hated it because they didn't want people to know how much they were
would
paying.
be self-policing
Yeah.
and not ask for so much.
Yeah.
But it's always, it's just $5 a month,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
and we talked about it's being nibbled to death by ducks,
Yeah, yeah.
because these levies all combine, and we had the idea, and you would have thought we were crying for revolution or something. They were going nuts.
Yeah, but in those organizations, who are by and large good organizations, help drug addicts and stuff, but they also have a lot of political influence,
Well,
right? And
right.
they know how to. You got organizations that are getting tax dollars, but they're making huge contributions,
And
to
they're paying through the
politicians.
nose for their
Yeah,
execs.
yeah,
The
yeah. Oh, yeah.
best NGO in our area is Strategies to End Homelessness.
Hmm.
Kevin Flynn is a great guy, and he's only making a modest amount.
Yeah,
But Talbot House is making $500,000 and a big
yeah.
thing for retirement too.
Yeah.
And but that was a good idea, and we tried to bring it back. But I enjoyed being auditor, and I enjoyed the people that I worked with, and we got some great people in there, and that's the key. Yeah.
That's the key. All right, let's move on to Donald Trump, okay, and the whole MAGA movement, okay?
Right.
Now, you, despite, as I said, you were a Democrat, you're about as conservative a guy as I've known, and you're a big Trump supporter, right? You're a big Trump supporter. Okay, I consider myself a conservative Republican, but for a host of reasons, not a Trump supporter. And if I could get Donald Trump or Miller or one of his minions here, there are a lot of questions I would want to ask them, because I really would like to hear what their response is. And since they have so far turned down, Trump has turned down my request to be on this show, you're here in his place, okay? All right, now, but I will, a few ground rules. One is, you have a right, if you want, no, not in an argumentative way, but you have a right to ask me questions, to put me if you want. I have no problem with that as a kind of anti-Trump guy. And I think we're going to try to agree to avoid the whataboutisms, okay? Because it just goes all over the place. So, all right, let's go through a bunch of things. The 2020 election, okay, that President Trump says to this day can say it was rigged. As you probably know, his attorney general, his director of election security, all the top people around him said there's no evidence of election rigging. There were 60 court cases filed, every one of them tossed out,
Well,
and yet, I'm asking you, was that election rigged?
yeah, I think
And,
it was.
and where's the evidence?
Well, 70% of the votes were cast before Election Day, and Trump and his people didn't realize what was happening.
Mhm.
But they were doing this mail-in ballot. They were changing the rules.
So what's wrong with mail-in ballots? We've had it for years.
You know, when they're pulling them out from under the tables and throwing them in.
So you're saying that this thing about the people were rigging it by throwing out Trump ballots or something like
Well, look at this.
that? Hmm.
Biden got 81 million votes.
Yeah.
That's more than any Republican before or since by a lot.
Yeah.
And I think the election was to some degree rigged.
Okay, but you don't. In fairness,
They're still looking
that's
at
a
Georgia.
feeling. You don't have any evidence of that. You
Well-
don't have, right?
Just common sense.
Okay, but again, I don't want to overdo this, but his attorney general, his people in the Justice Department, all the top people that he appointed, they all said there's no evidence of there's it wasn't rigged, and of course he fired the guy who was head of election security as soon as the guy said that. But you're saying they all missed it. All these guys missed it,
Right. And all those
and all the court
cases
cases
were thrown out for standing. Even now, who is that woman that was indicted or something?
Sydney,
Yeah.
whatever.
They
Name. Okay.
pulled that back just a couple weeks ago.
Well,
They-
no. Trump pardoned her.
Well-
Trump's Justice Department, he pardoned her. She pled guilty, as a number of them did.
Well, they
She-
had to.
Well, I'm not sure that's true, but anyway, okay. So you believe it was rigged, and let's move on. A similar, okay. And again, I'm not going to dwell on the past, but I think these are questions that are fair
Right,
questions.
right.
Okay, January 6th. Okay, you've seen the videos. I assume you weren't there. I wasn't there, but I saw videos as best I could see of guys breaking windows, taking shits in the Nancy Pelosi's office, beating the hell out of cops. 150 cops were injured. Unless it's trick photography, that's what I saw. Okay.
I saw people opening the doors and welcoming them in.
Okay, but
I
would you
saw-
admit there was violence against police there?
Only one person was killed, and that was
Well,
the
you
woman.
can commit a lot of violence without killing
Well-
somebody. So I'm just asking you because
This
I mean I
chief
saw
of-
video. Just a second. I saw videos of doors being smashed, windows smashed. I saw videos of people smashing cops with fire extinguishers and poles. I mean, I saw this was on video. So are you denying that happened?
Yeah, well, there was isolated cases, but the chief of police of Washington has said that Nancy Pelosi lied about the National Guard. He wanted
But
to bring him in, and
that's not the point. I mean, maybe that's right, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is,
that whole
it
thing was a
appeared-
setup.
okay, you say set up. Who set it up?
Nancy Pelosi,
So you're saying she incited or organized the attack?
she set it up.
How did she do that? How did she get all these Trump supporters to attack the police and break the
Oh,
windows?
it was peaceful and patriotic.
It was. So
Which
you
was
agree with Trump? Trump says it was a day of love. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. But the videos of them attacking the police and smashing the windows, do you believe that was trick photography?
Okay, what about, do you think the people sort of been kept in jail for 4 years with no due process?
What do you mean due process? They all had a right to a trial, and a lot of them got jury trials. Everybody had due process.
He kept-
And they had attorneys appointed. Where was the lack of due process?
They kept him in jail for 4 years under horrible conditions.
Well, first
And-
of all, they were the same conditions anybody in the Washington jails, but they were convicted. They had fair trials, or they had the right to plead guilty. What was unfair about it?
I think the whole thing was a setup. They just found the pipe bomb guy, they didn't.
So
The
you're
FBI,
saying,
the
just so I know,
FBI had
okay, just
people
so I
in
know,
that
you're
crowd.
saying that Nancy Pelosi before this said, okay, I'm going to plan this. I'm going to get these Trump supporters to attack the police and go in there. I'm going to play. She
There was
planned the whole thing.
250 FBI guys in that crowd.
I don't think that's what the Christian. Okay, but so you're saying the FBI this is like a plot, a conspiracy.
Ray Epps was
Ray Epps,
egging people on,
Ray,
and
Ray,
they
Ray, Ray Epps sued Fox News for saying that, and I believe was successful, but that's beside the point. So you're saying, I just want to be clear, you're saying the whole thing was set up between Pelosi, the FBI. It was like all a conspiracy.
Pelosi refused to call the National
Yeah, but
Guard.
that's not
that
Dusty. That is different from saying she set the whole thing up.
well,
Would you agree? I mean, you're saying she planned this whole thing out. It was all a planned thing by people on the
no,
left.
I'm not saying that, but she was
Yeah.
prepared for it, and she refused to call the National Guard. The
Is
January
that's
6th committee
incompetent. Yeah, okay.
was a setup. They've destroyed all the evidence. If Trump was guilty,
Well, those guys had rights to
if
trial.
Trump
went to
was
trial.
guilty, why did they destroy the evidence of his guilt?
Well, that's a whole different thing. I was talking about the people who
Right.
were there on January 6th. Okay, not about 9 of the 1,500, 900 were convicted either through fair trials or through choosing to plea. There was
Right.
nobody was lost their rights. 900 were convicted of assaulting police officers. Okay, 900, including a bunch of these white supremacists and this kind of thing, gang, whatever. Trump, we Republicans supposed to be the party of law and order, right? Isn't that, you're a law and order guy, I'm a law and order guy. You agree that Trump pardoned every one of those guys who assaulted the police. You think that was right?
Yeah.
Why?
I just think they went after them, and they didn't. I think they set them up. I look. Trump got elected in 2016 and was constantly under the gun from that point on. They're developing the story now that
Yeah.
Obama tried to undermine him. Adam Schiff was on TV every night for 3 years, accusing him of Russian collusion. They had the tape from, or supposedly it did something in Russia. He was under brutal attack from the time and I saw his speech on the night he was elected just recently, and
2024, 2016.
2016,
Okay.
he said, "We owe Hillary Clinton a debt of gratitude for her service. Thank you very much." Real gracious. And all the time, Hillary
conceded, though, didn't she?
she was on TV saying that Russia.
She went, but she conceded the election.
Yeah,
Trump,
right.
I heard it. Trump didn't concede the 2020 election, did he?
No,
He didn't. Okay. Well, okay. What about this? You
he was
remember-
if you were under attack
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
from the get-go, without a break,
Yeah.
you're accused of being a fascist and a Nazi and everything else continuously. All the media was against you. How would you feel?
Well, that has nothing to do with whether somebody broke the law or not. You can't say, "Oh, I can break the law because the media is against me." So I don't see where that's relevant. But anyway, let me ask you this: you remember? I'm sure you heard the tape of the call that Trump made to the Secretary of State in Georgia, where he basically says, "Find me 11,000 votes."
Right. What's wrong with that?
Pressuring a state official to change the votes.
Pressuring?
But when you say "find me 11,000 votes," what's that mean?
He was just looking for the votes to carry the state.
Yeah, I know, but it was after the votes were counted.
What did he?
What was he? Wasn't he asking him to come up with 11,000 votes? Is that what it means? Find me.
What did he threaten him with?
Well, actually, on the call. Well, first of all, whether just being pressured by the president itself, I think whether he threatened him or not, though I remember him saying in that call something. You guys better be careful. There's gonna be some trouble. But that's beside the point. What I'm saying is, and I'm saying this because this wasn't just that instance. He every day he would pressure these guys in the Justice Department to say there was fraud. They wouldn't do it.
Well, yeah, no, they wouldn't do it because they were in cahoots.
It-
This Vindeman,
well,
who got his Ukraine call when he was trying to get some information from Ukraine,
Well-
and they impeached him on that.
Hold up,
Bullshit.
Peter. I'm going to stick with just real quick where we are. But I guess what I'm saying is, well, what about this? Wasn't Mike Pence kind of considered a kind of conservative hero? I think people really looked up to him. I think at least the people in the conservatives, and yet if you recall, and this is his own statement, he said he said Trump called him, basically tried to pressure him to reject the votes, and he refused to do it because he said he had some experts in constitutional law say you can't do that. And Trump, if you recall that while the attack was going on, he tweeted out to all those people there that Mike Pence didn't have the guts, didn't have the courage to do what should have been done. In other words, he was
Didn't he
basically
change the law?
excuse me. He was just a second. He was telling that crowd basically, wasn't he, to go after Mike Pence while they were rioting.
Yep. He told them, string them up.
He said, this is while they're attacking the Capitol. I'm quoting his tweet. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done. And that's what led to the Hang Mike Pence.
Didn't they change the law?
Who?
Congress changed the law that would have allowed Pence to set up those.
You're talking about after the fact they clarified it.
Right, right.
So,
No,
so what you're saying, I just want to understand this though. Even if Pence was wrong and he did have the rights to reject the votes, that it wasn't just a ceremony. All the constitutional experts say it's a ceremonial. He has no right. He has no right to reject those votes and send it back there. All the constitutional experts say that. But while the attack is going on, again, Trump says, he tweets to the mob, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done. I mean, wasn't he basically inciting them to go after Mike Pence? No? Okay. All right. Let's move on to a few other things, okay? And again, you have a right. If you want to ask me, you can. I'm not trying to put you in the
what
spot.
do you think about bombing Iran and taking out the nuclear capability?
I actually don't. I did not agree with that because though I think it's not on point, but yeah, I think while you're negotiating, which they were with Iran, I mean, it wasn't like Iran said, F you, we're not going to do anything. They were negotiating, and then Israel bombed, and then he bombed without any kind of, he didn't say, hey, unless you do this, we're going to bomb. You just drop bombs. So no, I don't believe in that. I don't agree with that.
I think it's great. What about all the wars he's ended?
The what?
The wars he's ended since he's been.
Well, I know he says he ended 8 wars. In my research, I haven't found that to be the case, but I will say this. We'll get into this, but I'm kind of a Reagan Republican, okay? And I think we all remember when Ronald Reagan stood at the Berlin Wall and said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. The point being, he stood up to dictators, especially dictators that tried to invaded countries, Trump, when Russia invaded, he said that was a really smart move, and he has had the ability all along to put sanctions on Putin and to take them, and he's had the ability to put pressure. And his attitude is his attitude is, well, they ought to just take what they have right now. He believes Russia should just keep all the territory. He's not taking a side in that. He's not supporting Ukraine. So
Biden left him with a mess, and he's trying to get out of it the best way he can.
The invasion had nothing to do with Biden. It was Putin choosing to invade. So what does Biden have to do with that?
Which he wouldn't have done if Trump was president, I guarantee you. He didn't invade anything.
He wouldn't have done because he would have been scared what Trump would do.
Right.
Okay, then why doesn't Trump do it now? Why doesn't he impose major sanctions now?
It's a little late in the game.
Okay, all right. Let's move on.
How about the fentanyl Venezuelan.
Yeah, there's no fentanyl coming from Venezuela. And,
Not anymore.
well, there's never has been. It's always come from Colombia. It doesn't come from Venezuela. Look it up. It doesn't come. And as far as this business about bombing boats, civilian boats, without any evidence that they are
How do
actually
you know there's no evidence?
Oh, I don't know, but shouldn't the burden be on the people who are killing people to at least provide some evidence that these actually are drug smugglers, which they provide? They're just bombing boats. We're supposed to just take their word for it. I mean, it would seem to me, first of all, I don't think it's legal under international law. I don't think it's legal under our Constitution to just go ahead and kill civilians. And if you're going to at least do that, at least provide evidence. Hey, here's the evidence. These guys, they wouldn't even say who was on board. We don't know if we don't know if they were drug smugglers.
They're just doing it for the fun of it.
Well, I mean, as far as why they're doing it, I assume to show they're tough on drugs, but just killing people without any proof that these people are actually smuggling drugs, I don't think that's the way a free country operates. But let me move on. Let's talk about something else. Okay, when Trump was elected this time, his first trips he made were to United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. Okay, first 3 trips as president. Okay, at the same time that his family had formed a company called World Liberty Financial. His sons and Steve Witkoff's son. Steve Witkoff is the mid ambassador to the Middle East. Okay, they formed this company. Okay, and at the same time, within weeks that Trump is visiting and doing official visit there,
Right.
the United Arab Emirates is investing $2 billion, okay, in Trump's company. The same time. Is that a conflict of interest?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, do you have an opinion?
No.
A guy's president, he's visiting the country, and at the same time, his family's company is getting to, and the company that put this all together was a company called Binance. Okay? Yeah, okay. And,
Nobody seemed to worry when Biden's criminal.
yeah, well, you're doing the whataboutism.
Well, if you're going to,
But I guess what I'm saying, Dusty, is it seems to me that
nobody said a
and
word.
I don't mind if you say I don't know anything about it or I don't want to answer the question, but I'm trying to understand how a president who is visiting a country, and by the way, at the same time that he was getting the $2 billion for his company, Witkoff agreed to allow the United Arab Emirates to buy hundreds of thousands of high-end chips. Okay, at the same time. Same time they were putting $2 billion in Trump's company. You don't see that's a conflict of interest.
No,
Okay. All right. That's okay.
What's
And by
soft
the
for
way,
the goose
the
is
company.
soft for the gander. And
So you're saying if there was corruption under the Democrats, it's okay to have corruption under Republicans.
nobody minds when Biden does it. When Trump, at least his kids are doing something, not serving on an energy board that they didn't know anything about. And
The company.
I want to tell you
Yeah.
the other thing.
Yeah.
The media
Yeah.
is all anti-Trump.
Yeah, that's not the point. I'm talking about corruption. Well, whether Trump is corrupt or not, I mean, whether the media hates him or not, that doesn't excuse corruption.
No, but
You agree?
yeah, but
All right. Let me ask you this: the company that put this deal together is a company called Binance. After this, Trump, the president of Binance, a guy named Sheng Zhao, he was convicted, pled guilty in 2023 to basically allowing his platform to be used he violated federal money laundering laws. This guy, because he was allowing his platform to be used by terrorists, cyber criminals, child abusers, that kind of thing. Now he pled guilty. Okay, at about the same time or shortly after this deal between Binance and the Trump family, he pardoned this guy. You okay with that?
sure, I don't.
Didn't bother you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Did it bother you that people were running for office and their whole thing was, I'm going to get Trump?
But
by
again, you're
fair
doing the
means
whataboutism. You're doing
no,
whataboutism.
No, I'm talking about the fact that all these people engaged in lawfare.
So what you're saying
to
is
try to
the
keep
other
him off
other
the ballot.
people did corrupt things, and so there's some justification for him doing corrupt things.
He's given it back to them.
Well, I'm not sure. I would say, all right. I would say he's not so much giving it back to them as he's taking it from the taxpayers. But okay, Qatar. At the same time, now Trump. Okay, the Trump family's in Qatar. This is all about the same time. They negotiated a deal with the Qatari government to build a Trump golf club and beachside villas and all this kind of stuff in Qatar.
Yeah.
At the same time, this is his family. It's not the U.S.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Same time, Qatar gives him a $400 million plane. Now, the plane is to be used as Air Force One, but when Trump leaves office, he keeps the plane. I think that's right.
I didn't hear that. I didn't.
Oh, well, you want us to fact check it while we're here?
I didn't hear that.
Well, Dusty, I'm just telling you now, when you leave here,
I
just
heard
Google.
the plane was being turned over to the government.
No, this is not a factual issue. It is a fact. The deal is he keeps the plane when he leaves office. At the same time that he's doing his company's doing business deals with Qatar. Does that sound right?
Well, come on.
I don't know. Okay, we were talking about the Suns. What the Suns are doing. Okay, about a week ago, the Financial Times reported the Pentagon awarded a very significant contract to a drone company called Unusual Machines. Okay, it's a company that retains Donald Trump Jr. as an advisor, and Don Jr. owns millions of dollars of stock. At the same time, the Pentagon is awarding a contract to it. You got a problem with that? Okay, I'll move on.
You're cherry picking. Sheldon Whitehouse made
if I'm cherry picking, I would say these are pretty serious
Senator
charges.
from Rhode Island gave millions of dollars to an NGO that's paying his wife $2.7 million a year.
Okay,
so you have a problem with that?
Of course, I have a problem with
okay,
it. But
okay.
what I'm saying is, again,
nobody else does.
Okay, but that's not my point. Is I'm trying to find out if they are engaging in corrupt practices, and you're saying your answer seems to be, oh, but what about this guy? He did it too. Okay, I'm not sure that's a fair answer, whether somebody's corrupt.
That's probably not a fair answer, but what's sauce for this goose is sauce for the gander. And if you're going to do all this cherry picking, do it for everybody. That's my point. And they don't. 90% of the news.
I don't care about the news. We're not here to talk about the news media. We're trying to ask about
90% of the news media is anti-Trump and negative stories.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with what we're talking about?
Well, he's under a kind of a practice that nobody else was under.
Okay, I'm willing to concede that, though I don't think it justifies taking money from a company that's doing business with the government, massive amounts of money. The inspector generals, as you know, the federal government each department had an inspector general's job is to basically make sure, weed out corruption.
Right.
Trump fired every one of them. You okay with that?
Yeah, right.
You're okay with that? All right. Recently,
he hired Elon Musk to do it.
No, actually, that wasn't Musk, that was Trump. But anyway, Trump is now demanding the Justice Department pay him $230 million in compensation for the investigations of him. And the person that has to approve that is the person who was his personal lawyer, who he appointed as assistant head of the Justice Department.
That's interesting, yeah.
You okay with that?
Anybody else could go back on that and get that money.
You're saying there's another president that got $100 million, $200 million from their own Justice Department?
Other people have been unjustly harassed and accused by the Department of Justice, have gone back and got that money.
In court, by going to court.
Right.
Okay, but what I'm saying here is he is asking his personal attorney, okay, who is a former personal, who he appointed. He is saying to him, I want your department to give me $230 million. You okay
all
with
those
that?
4 cases against him were bogus. Every one of them.
Assume they were bogus.
Right.
Assume they were. I would say otherwise, but that's not the point. Bogus or not, do you think it's right for him to ask his Justice Department to give him $230 million?
Do you think it's right for the Department of Justice to try to bankrupt a guy with bogus legal suits?
Yeah, but you're saying because they did things that you consider improper toward him, that you think it's okay. I just want yes or no. Is it okay for him to ask his Justice Department to give him $230 million?
He got a right to get the money back that he spent fighting all these bogus cases.
All right. I'll move on. He talked about, Trump when he ran this time talked about. He said, I'll be your retribution," right? Okay. He issued an executive order. All the law firms that had sued him or who had people in the firms that had previously worked for the Justice Department, that kind of thing. He basically said, you can no longer get any. He took their security clearances away. Now,
Right.
just so to be clear, these aren't government security clearances. Law firms that do a lot of government litigation, they go through a process where their lawyers who do that have security clearance just so they can go into federal buildings and talk to
Right.
federal officials.
And
All these guys did was file lawsuits previously against Trump, and he's basically saying, I'm taking away all your business. Is that right?
yeah,
Why?
to the victor belongs the spoils. He's
Yeah.
there now. They didn't think he was gonna. They thought they were gonna get him.
But they didn't do anything. They just filed lawsuits.
Okay.
You think it's fair because he doesn't like them to basically say we're gonna take
That's
away
the
your
way it
clearances?
works. That's the way it works.
Okay, all right.
I think it's great, and I think that the Supreme Court case, this woman that claims he raped her in the Bergdorf
Yeah.
Goodman, I
Yeah.
mean that was a phony case from the get-go, and the judge put gag orders on him and everything else.
I don't think that what I don't see what that has to do with with blacklisting law firms.
Well,
All right. I happen to believe that federal government shouldn't fund universities at all. Okay, just to that. But what he is doing is basically telling universities, okay, we're cutting off your federal money unless you admit the people we want you to admit, and unless you teach what we want you to teach. You okay with that?
no, it's not that.
He's making all these universities sign agreements with the federal government.
Do you
as-
think DEI is worthy?
I think colleges should make their own decision about who they admit.
Oh, yeah, okay, and
Now, if they're discriminating, fine, file a discrimination action. But he's basically saying we're taking away your federal money unless you.
he's stomping out anti-Semitism in these colleges. These Jewish kids are getting.
But do you feel comfortable? Are you comfortable with the
Yes,
government
yes,
putting pressure on universities to?
absolutely.
Okay.
The universities, which are 98% Democratic indoctrination operations, and this DEI crap, it's ridiculous.
Okay.
I mean, are you comfortable with 2 million people crossing the border
What does that have to do with what we're talking about? I'm talking about corruption.
He stopped it.
Yeah, but that's a positive thing for him. I agree, but I don't know that has
Okay,
anything to do with what we're
okay,
talking about.
that's-
Okay, all right. Specific recent example about one of these recent prosecution. The U.S. attorney appointed by Trump in the Eastern District of Virginia. Trump basically said to him, I want you to charge Letitia James and James Comey. Trump told him to, okay? He looked up, said there's insufficient evidence. I can't do it. Trump fires him, moves his former personal attorney who has no prosecutor experience, puts in that job, and he sends a text to Pam Bondi saying, you need to indict Letitia James and James Comey, and then they did. You okay? You comfortable with that?
Yeah, right. They deserve to be indicted. They're
But
both
even though
crooked
the
as hell.
Republican conservative Trump-appointed U.S. attorney said there is
Labels
insufficient
mean
evidence,
nothing. They're part of the deep swamp.
are you comfortable with a president telling his attorney general to indict certain people that are his enemies?
It's never happened before, so.
Yeah, I don't think it has happened. That's why.
Oh,
But put it this way, if it has happened before, fine. You're comfortable with this, though. That's all I'm asking.
Sure.
Okay, let's talk about deportations.
if
Okay.
they're guilty, I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't work that way, Dusty. You investigate to determine if they're guilty. What do you mean? Who determines? Trump is the one who determines if they're guilty.
she can go to court just like he had to do 4 times, all engineered from the White House, by the way.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Quick question on deportation. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but 72% of the people who've been detained by ICE have no criminal records. They just, other than coming to the country illegally.
Uh-huh.
There was a kid graduated from some high school around here who was a soccer player and good kid. He was brought over here when he was 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is happening to thousands of people. They're being deported who have no criminal records at all. 72%. You okay with that?
Oh, absolutely.
So somebody who, like a kid who was brought here by his parents, who had no say in it, doesn't know anybody in Honduras, he should be sent back to Honduras?
Absolutely.
What's your reason, justification?
Because they were brought here illegally. Nobody is above the law, particularly folks who came across our border illegally. There's a right way and a
Okay, so
wrong way.
what you're saying is it's the law, and if they want to change the law, Congress should change it.
Right.
That's what Tom Homan said.
Yeah.
Tom, I'm head of the, okay. Quick question. And again, I'm putting you on the spot a little because he's not here, but you're in Holland in 1940s. Anne Frank's family or Jewish family comes, says, "Would you please let us stay here?" And it is a violation of the law to shelter Jewish people. Law required you to turn them in. What would you do?
Well, that's a different case
Okay.
entirely.
All right. Museum. Now let's talk about media. We'll finish up with, I think that's all I have here is media. Trump has ordered 8 of our country's most prominent museums, Smithsonian, National Air and Space Museum, to get rid of any exhibits that he says foster a sense of national shame, meaning he wants them to get rid of stuff about slavery and that kind of thing. He is telling museums what they should exhibit, what they shouldn't. He said he's upset.
Oh, I don't.
Just a second. He said he's upset because the Smithsonian, quote, he said they focused too much on how bad slavery was. Are you comfortable with a government official, not to mention the president, telling the Smithsonian and all the other museums what they can exhibit, what they can't?
Oh, I don't care. I don't care.
Doesn't bother you?
No.
Okay. So in other words, if you had a president who, I don't know, was super into DEI and he put pressure on these museums to really promote DEI, you're okay
That's
with
what
that?
they've been doing. That's what they've been doing. And nobody said a word except Trump.
So you're saying previous to Trump, the government was pressuring these museums?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. All right.
The Charlottesville thing.
Okay.
I mean, they've spread that from one side. They're fine people on both sides.
There was a poor jobs report that came out a couple months ago.
Uh-huh.
Trump fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because he didn't like the jobs report.
They've been
You comfortable
phony.
with that?
They've been phony for years.
Okay, you think
They've been revised every time.
Let me ask this. As you know, Jeff Bezos is trying to get, and all those other Silicon Valley guys are trying to get government contracts. Amazon specifically is bidding for defense contracts for Amazon. At the same time, they've just agreed to pay $40 million to Melania Trump for the rights to a documentary about her in her pocket. You okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
All right. The stuff that's happened recently with Colbert and with Jimmy Kimmel. Now, aside from whether you think they're funny or you like their politics, CBS is owned by Paramount. Paramount needs FCC approval to merge with Skydance.
Right.
Okay. Trump filed what every legal expert I would say is a totally frivolous lawsuit, but they settled with him for $16 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good for him.
So in other words, you think it's, aside from whether you agree with what Colbert says or not, you think it's okay for the government to say, in effect, say, you're not going to get your merger unless you get this guy off the air, unless you settle for $16 million.
Do you think it's okay for a network that's using licensed stations across the country to put somebody on every night that does nothing?
Isn't that free speech? Isn't that First Amendment? Can't you say whatever you want? Okay, so what's the point?
Do you think it's okay for this guy to indulge in a continuing hate?
I'm saying it's okay.
No.
I'm saying he has a First Amendment right.
Right.
Do you believe in the First Amendment?
No, yeah.
Okay. There's no question here that the head of the FCC, what he said. What he said in relation to Colbert and Kimmel. Both situations, their companies needed FCC approval to merge.
Right.
He said, the head of the FCC said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, meaning you take Kimmel off, okay, or I will take away your license, because I don't like what Kimmel's saying.
I didn't like that. The FCC guy shouldn't have said that. But do you think it's right or proper or decent, or why do you think these networks are putting hate Trump fest?
They're private companies. They have a right under the
and
First
their
Amendment.
ratings are going
Fine,
straight
but
down.
That's their problem.
Yeah,
Their
well-
problem, if they're losing money, that's their problem. But for the government, Trump specifically said after Colbert was pulled, he said Jimmy Kimmel's next, meaning I am using the government to get these guys off the air. Now, whether what they say is right, whether it's good stuff, whether you hate it, do you agree that they have a First Amendment right to say that stuff?
They have a responsibility to present a balanced presentation, and if they had
under the First Amendment, you're saying if I go and give a speech and it's anti-Trump, that I have an obligation? What do you mean? The First Amendment lets you
they
say
have
what
a
you want.
responsibility to present both sides.
Under the First Amendment?
Oh no, let them go. Let them go.
Right. That's what the First Amendment says. It's speech you hate that is protected. That's the whole point.
Right.
So you're at least in a
Why do you think these networks are doing this and have done it for so long?
They may be ultra liberal. They may hate Trump. They may think that they can make money, but I don't care. All I care about is that the government not put pressure on the media to put out what they want. Trump is basically, you know what he's saying? He's saying that if he says this right now, he says that these networks that constantly have anti-Trump stuff on,
All
that
the
their
time.
license, he's saying their license should be pulled.
all the time. Well, the networks
so-
don't have a license.
He's Trump's words are their license should be pulled.
Well,
okay. So the point is,
Networks
he is
aren't licensed.
Okay, but let's cut the nitpicking. The fact is, Trump is. All I'm saying is, and I just want your opinion. Trump and his head of the FCC are actively pressuring these networks to get rid of Kimmel and get rid of Colbert.
They're wasting their time because their audience is going into the tank.
Okay, but
and
wasting their time, that's a business decision. If the networks are stupid enough to lose money for whatever reason, that's their business.
problem
but
is-
does it trouble you that these guys are, I agree, every night it's anti-Trump stuff. Does it trouble you that the government, the president and the head of the FCC are pressuring them to stop saying bad things about Trump?
they're not pressuring them. They're just calling it to everybody's
No.
attention.
Trump is not that. Trump is saying, he said they should lose their license. Now you say, I know technically it's the individual stations that have the license, but Trump is actively saying and his head of FCC, I just said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, meaning take those guys off the air or we'll deny your merger.
Why did they put them back on?
Well, first of all, Colbert is gone. They canceled him as of next year. He's only got 1 year left. Okay, less than a year. Okay?
Good.
I think what happened is they put Kimmel back on for now because they were so embarrassed by the fact that it was so obvious that the government
The
pressured
Hollywood
them.
actors and all the Hollywood people told ABC if they didn't put him back on, they would not do any more shows for ABC. So that was
So
pressure
it was a
coming.
business. That's a business pressure.
right.
That's not government pressure.
I think one of the best things that Trump ever did was call out the fake news.
I'm not talking about calling out. I'm talking about pressuring, saying we're going to deny your merger. We're going to deny your merger unless you get these people off the air.
I think it's funny.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
The Pentagon, has a new policy, and I'm almost done here. Pentagon has a new policy. Basically, if you want to have
No more men in dresses running around.
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the media. They have a new media policy which says that you can only report what we give you if you want a desk in the Pentagon. Okay, okay. Most of the major networks, including even Fox and Newsmax,
Even Fox.
refuse to sign it.
Okay.
Do you think that that's consistent with a free country with free speech to say you don't get a desk here unless you report what we tell you?
That wasn't what they're saying. They weren't wanting them roaming up and down the halls.
No,
And
no, no. The guys there now can roam up and down the halls. That wasn't the issue.
yeah,
The issue is you can't roam up and down the halls unless you sign this thing,
uh-huh.
which you agree to only report stuff that we give you. You comfortable with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like Pete Hegseth.
Okay. 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 One last thing.
Bill,
Well,
I love you like a brother.
I know you do.
But
Let me ask you a
I think
question.
you've
Let me ask you a
got
question.
a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome.
I probably
And
do.
I'm sorry for that because all the good things he's done, you ignore and you focus on these.
Okay. Let me ask a question more general here. Okay. I believe I'm a straw law and order guy. I believe in standing up to dictators, and when they invade countries, we ought to stop them. That's my opinion. I
Well,
believe in free trade. I believe in free trade. I believe in balanced budgets.
that's,
Okay. Now, here's my question. Am I a conservative?
I guess
Well, no. I mean, based on those views, would you define me a conservative?
you can call yourself that.
No, I can call myself anything. I'm asking you,
Okay. Oh,
those issues are those issues that conservatives should line up on?
right. Pretty
Okay.
much.
Is Trump
Well,
all right, go ahead.
I don't know about the dictators. I mean, I don't think we should be the world's policeman. And Trump was right when he said in the 2016 campaign to Bush, the younger, that that was a stupid war.
Well, that was a stupid war, but it was not a case of a country like Russia invading another country. We should
Uh,
never have got involved in it. I agree with you. But what I'm asking is, okay, I'm asking you, are those conservative views? I think you're saying yes, by and large. Is Trump a conservative?
I,
No, would you describe Trump
I,
as a conservative?
I think he's a populist.
Okay, I'll buy that. Okay, I'm just checking. Last question, and then you've been good. You've been great. Um, Putting policies aside, issues aside, you've seen Trump a lot, haven't you? As I have talked, you've listened to
Yeah.
him videos. Aside from issues, do you think he's? You're not. Neither of us are psychiatrists or have any degrees in that. But do you think mentally and emotionally he's stable? He's okay.
Oh, sure.
You do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This guy was subject to the kind of harassment that nobody ever has been in history. Everybody was against him. The media was against him. Hollywood, college, politicians, and he stood up to all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did he go off the rails sometimes? Yeah, probably. But under the circumstances, he did a hell of a job in the first 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
in spite of all this harassment.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back bigger and better than ever,
Mm-hmm.
in spite of all this. I think he's one of a kind.
Oh,
And
I agree with that.
I think he's a very special guy. And I'm glad he's there. The alternative is not worth thinking about it. And that was the thing. And he won big in the Republican primaries.
Mm-hmm.
So more power to him.
Mm.
Did he make some mistakes? He's a human being. But by and large, I'm so happy. I was happy when Kennedy got elected. I was happy when Reagan got elected. And I was happy when Trump got elected. I really was.
Last question then. Do you think Trump's positions and issues are consistent with Ronald Reagan's?
I don't think.
The answer is no, really, isn't it?
Well,
Free trade, standing up to dictators, balanced budgets, rule of law. Would you at least agree that you may like them both, but they're not exactly, he isn't
Yeah.
exactly in that Reagan mold. Would you agree?
right, yeah. But
Well,
I was watching Bush, the younger,
Yeah.
as president,
Yeah.
and they were saying bad things about him, and his popularity rating went down to 35%, and he wouldn't say a word. Trump fights back, and I like that. I like the fact that he doesn't take any guff from anybody, and he fights back, and he calls out the fake news, and he does all the things that I've been wishing somebody would do for years. And he's my guy. I think he's a aggressive. I'll tell you, the other person I like.
And by the way, I'm giving you the last word, Dusty. I just so you know.
Thank-
I've asked you a lot of questions, so I'm
Thank
giving
you,
you the last.
Mr.
This is the
O'Reilly.
last word. All right.
I love George Steinbrenner too, and he was a same kind of New York guy,
As who?
president of the Yankees.
I know, but you're comparing him to who? To Trump?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're New
Yeah.
York.
The only thing
guys.
I know much about George Steinbrenner is George Steinbrenner is the character on Seinfeld.
Yeah, I never
Yeah,
watched
but
that.
anyway, but go ahead.
They're New York guys.
Yeah.
They came up from the streets.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that he
Well,
went.
he got $400 million as a kid. That's not exactly the streets, is it?
Well, I love the fact that he went to a black barber shop and sat there and talked to the people. I love the fact that he went to McDonald's.
To a degree, he didn't make it up the ranks. He was given $400 million as a kid, right?
Yeah, right.
All right. Hey, with that, thank you, sir. You have been a great guest, and I really appreciate it,
Well,
Dusty.
it's been-
You're willing to, whether we agree or not, you have the guts to stand up for what you believe. I've had people sit here who basically say, tell me, don't ask me those questions, but you are willing to, and I respect that, admire that. I have always respected and admired you when we were in county government together. I've respected you because you are maybe not in who you support, but you are in your own practice a true fiscal conservative,
Oh, yeah.
and we need more of those. So thank you for your service.
It's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed knowing you, and I appreciated working with you in the county.
Yeah.
Even though we were on different sides of the political fence,
Yeah,
we could get together and
Yeah.
hammer something out.
we could.
Yeah,
We could.
It was fun.
Likewise.